Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are going to be talking about Marvel Rivals. Now of course Marvel Rivals is a game that's similar to Overwatch but has been dominating the hero shooter space ever since it came out at the tail end of 2024. So much so that in my opinion, if it came out earlier in the year, it definitely would have won Game of the Year because this year's competition was honestly just disgusting. Even though that's a conversation for another time. This is our second time, I believe, talking about Marvel Rivals. The first time we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago was just shedding some light on all the DeviantArt that the game was getting that I had been noticing on pretty much everywhere. However, today we're going to be taking a look at a video that, in my opinion, kind of summarizes why not everybody should be allowed to buy podcast equipment. Because when people do that, they have the opportunity to have a podcast that reaches a bunch of different people. And for whatever reason, I noticed this trend a lot. When people end up getting popular podcasts, they just end up lying on it, like blatant lies, misinformation on the internet. Like, you guys know that meme, me when I'm purposefully spreading misinformation online, it's like little smiley face. I feel like that's them after they post these podcasts, because there's actually no way any of these takes that I'm about to show you are real. Like you would have had to have not played the game in order to actually believe some of this stuff. So these takes I'm going to show you are posted by a TikTok account called the Moonpiece Podcast, and they title it 5 Ways Marvel Rivals Can Improve to Be Better Than Overwatch.
Overwatch? No. Oh, is Marvel Rivals better than Overwatch? No, it's not. And there's a bunch of things that need to change in Marvel Rivals for it to get better or on the level of Overwatch. 1. Sound score. There's no way to tell when you're on overtime and you need to push the cart, like, you know, when the music changes in a video game and you're just like, phew, oh my god, like, we gotta go, everybody get to the point.
Okay, so we're already a couple of seconds into the video, and I just have 2 things that I want to point out. The first thing that I want to address is whether or not this game is better than Overwatch or Overwatch 2. Now, I don't think there's any competition. This game is definitely better than Overwatch 2. Like, I don't think you can even try to bring up a singular point as to whether or not Overwatch 2 is better than Marvel Rivals. And to anybody who plays the game or follows it in any capacity, I know you've been seeing a lot of debate, we'll call it, between these two fandoms, and both sides do make good points. However, in my opinion, I will agree on what Shroud said about the matter. It's that Overwatch 1 was the GOAT, right? There's no other game like it, or rather it was the best game in its genre for a reason. And when you talk about genre defining games, Overwatch definitely has to be in that conversation, in my opinion at least, because that's what that was. And here's another thing too, Marvel Rivals, it's new, right? It's easy to hate on what's old and to kind of favor what's new. However, when you really get to see whether or not a game is great is like 5 years down the line, 6 years, 7 years down the line. If it's still pulling the same amount of numbers or even half of what Marvel Rivals was pulling, then you know you got something special. But I'm just going to say this too. The concept of a hero shooter having actual superheroes and supervillains from Marvel, one of the most popular mediums when it comes to fantasy, you gotta think, why hasn't this ever been done before? So I do sort of agree with her point on whether or not Overwatch is better than Marvel Rivals. It's really her first official point as to whether or not there's any game indication that things are going into overtime, which there is. She says this like there's not a literal giant yellow bar telling you that it's overtime, with a little animation that plays as the time is whittling down. I'm pretty sure you can see now what I'm talking about when I say you had to have not been playing the game to actually have some of these takes. This is only the first one. Now, if you're new here on the channel, this is actually kind of perfect because I've been using Rivals gameplay as the background for a couple of videos now, and if you've seen even one of them, there's a good chance you might have seen one of my teams go into overtime. I don't know how the game could be any clearer when there are literal visual cues on the screen showing you that it's overtime. It's almost like she wants a jump scare to occur, or for the overtime bar to block your entire screen so you can't really see what you're doing, but you know that it's overtime.
Get to the point, like, thing 2, there's no indication that you're about to die.
Huh? What is, yo, dude, what is she talking about? There's no indication that you're about to die? Your health bar? What? It's literally at the bottom of your screen. If you see it go down past a certain point, your screen gets red and you start hearing your heartbeat. She probably was playing this blindfolded with corkscrews in her fucking ears. There is literally no way that you come up with something like this and it's not rage bait. Because if it's rage bait, 6 out of 10, little bro. You kind of got me. And by the looks of these comments, which we'll probably get into in a second, you got them too. I don't know. It's just kind of funny to me that she's playing as Spider-Man, somebody who has 250 base health, considered one of the squishies of the game, while she in this clip is at 204 HP, talking about how there's no indicator that you're about to die. I guess somebody was going negative in all of their games.
Third thing, everybody needs to move faster. Why is everybody so slow?
Yo, I was thinking that, bro. I'm like,
Oh my
yo,
God.
dude, I was like, why am I moving at the speed? I was like, damn, son, like these on the other side of the
Okay,
map.
so when the game came out last month officially, I thought the same thing, especially when I first started playing. And I still kind of think that for at least some characters. But then I'm like, you know, it would be pretty broken if a character could damn near teleport onto a point, or even if they were all faster, because I feel like the point of having slower characters like this is so that for certain characters, it takes longer to get from spawn to the point. And by certain characters, I mean characters that don't have a dash ability or the non-web swinging characters. And for a lot of the heroes, they're not even really that slow. In my opinion, I feel like it's the same as Overwatch. Like maybe Overwatch definitely has some other characters that have different traversal options, things like, you know, running up a wall or whatever, or even a double jump. And I'm not gonna lie, for some of the characters in Rivals, like Wolverine, that should definitely be considered, because that's something that Wolverine can do in the comics or even in other video games, which is use his claws to get up certain surfaces. But overall, this point just kind of boils down to a non-issue.
Or roll queue. Roll queue. So what that means is that there needs to be a way so that there's 2 vanguards, 2 duelists, 2 strategists. Because if you just play by yourself, everyone's just gonna play DPS. Nobody wants to be a healer. Nobody wants to be a tank. And it's like, no, we need this.
Okay, so this is another point where I could definitely see where she's coming from. However, the devs said that they don't plan to implement roll queue into the game, so it's just kind of like a whatever for me at this point. However, I don't think that adding roll queue in quick play would help at all. I only think that that would help in competitive, because in competitive, team comp actually matters, and it matters to way more people who play comp than it does to people who just queue up in quick match. I will say this though, it is really annoying when you're trying to do your best in competitive and you know you don't want to lose, so you're forced to switch on to healer because you don't have enough healers, or everybody on the team wants to play DPS, and this happens more in the lower ranks, but as the game gets older, you'll probably start to see less of it. But for the first like week and a half, that was all you saw in competitive, dude. It didn't matter if you were bronze or silver, you got people insta-locking DPS. You would have a full team of DPS, and it would just be really annoying. But in quick match, it really doesn't matter.
We need this. And lastly, better communication. One, there is no team chat. You cannot go in and be on your microphone. They don't have that. So there's no way to communicate with your team, especially for like competitive or anything. 2, on the wheel, you have to set up a wheel for communication to say hi, gather here, thank you. Like, if you don't set it up yourself or you don't know it, it's not going to be there and no one knows how to do it. I had someone help me with it so that it matches like the Overwatch one. And then 3, it's super hard to like get to the chat itself to be like, hey, group up or something, or like, hey, I'm gonna do a portal, come with me.
It's not
like,
into it.
Okay, so this one was just really stupid. I don't understand. Okay, when it comes to team chat, and first of all, voice chat, you can go in there on your microphone. You just have to turn voice chat on in the settings. That's all you have to do. It's quite literally just one click of a button. Also, what do you mean it's hard to get to the chat itself? Once again, it's just another click of a button. This time, it's the enter key on your keyboard, and you press tab to cycle through the team, match, and friend channels if you so choose. And it's funny that she says this because it literally says that in the text box where you want to type your message out. And if you're on console, don't worry, you just have to press your left analog stick, L3, and it literally says this at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It's not hard. All right, so I don't know who that other guy is, your co-host or whatever. Maybe that's your guest of the day. I don't know how this podcast even works. But the guy that just said it isn't intuitive, what? I don't get what's not intuitive about pressing one key or one button on your controller and then typing out whatever you want to type. You know how many times I've played with a Doctor Strange and they've been like, yo, port behind the enemy team, or they'll just type in port. Or as a matter of fact, you know how many times I've been in spawn waiting for the match to start and all people do is just spray things on the wall, me, and spam things in chat, the same call outs. Or as a matter of fact, you know how many slurs I've seen in chat that aren't actual slurs because they're not spelled like it, but everybody pretty much knows what it is. I swear, these are all such non-issues. Why? Who gave you a microphone? And it's stuff like this that just kind of makes me think that the Overwatch community, the people who actually really love Overwatch for whatever reason, are hella salty that their game is just doing way, way worse. And they know their game sucks. So they just try to come up with any and everything to shit on Marvel Rivals. And I bet you it's going to get even worse because this season, I'm pretty sure there's talks about having PvE in the game. And the moment they do that, Overwatch is finished. That's something that they couldn't even do in their wildest dreams. And even when they attempted it, it was horrible. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button. If you want more content similar to this, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sub up, stay safe, and peace.